Item 10C, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Pacific States Environmental Contractors, Inc. for the 324 Florida Avenue site remediation project in the amount of $358,925, approving a construction contingency of $71,785, approving a total construction budget in the amount of $430,710, and appropriating $165,000 from the General Fund Capital Reserve Fund. Jimmy?
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Back in October 2014, City Council adopted a resolution authorizing the city manager to complete the purchase of the property at 324 Florida Avenue for future use as a neighborhood park. The historical property is approximately half acres, consisting of 8 parcels, and is located in a dense residential neighborhood. The property includes 4 buildings, the main residence, a duplex, a garage, and a workshop. The condition of the property has fallen into disrepair due to lack of upkeep and vandalism. The buildings have been left vacant in a deteriorated condition, which is an unattractive nuisance for the neighbors. To complete the project, staff contracted with the surveyor to complete the topographic survey. Environmental consultant was also hired to perform soil sampling and hazardous material analysis to complete the soil management plan and asbestos and lead removal plan. 30 samples were taken on the property. There was an estimated about 500 cubic yards of soil that needs to be removed because it's potentially contaminated with lead. Contract documents for construction bid package was completed. That includes plans, details, technical specifications, and probable cost estimate. The scope of work for the project includes demolishing the existing buildings, removing and disposing the contaminated soil and asbestos and lead abatement, and temporarily securing the site with fencing. The work also identifies salvage items to be retained by the city for display or incorporation into the future park. On March 7th, the city advertised the project for bid and sent notice to bidders to 60 demolition contractors. 2 non-mandatory pre-bid meetings were held back in March 27th as well as April 1st. However, only 2 contractors attended one of the pre-bid meetings. Prior to the bid opening date, staff also contacted demolition contractors to confirm whether they would be submitting any bids. Only 1 contractor expressed interest in submitting the bid. And however, during the bid opening on April 8th, the city didn't receive any bids on the project. Per the Public Contract Code, Section 2166, if no bids are received, the legislative body may have the project done without further complying with this chapter. In lieu of the public bid, the city posted a request for proposal for the project on April 18th. The city staff searched and contacted other demolition contractors within the Bay Area and feel their interest in submitting a proposal. RFP was sent to them via email. The city held another non-mandatory pre-proposal meeting on April 29th. 2 contractors and a potential subcontractor attended the meeting and toured the property site. Prior to the proposal deadline, the staff contacted the demolition contractors to gauge their interest in submitting a proposal. 2 contractors expressed interest in submitting a proposal, but on May 13th, the city received one from Pacific State Environmental Contractors in the amount of about $340,000. The proposal received is approximately 14% higher than the engineer estimate of $300,000, and the higher cost is contributed to the low interest in the project by contractors that have full work schedules and a distinct interest in the property due to the contaminated soil. The proposal also included an additive bid item for chain link fencing to enclose the property for a cost of $18,000. And staff is proposing to include the chain link fencing in the construction budget in case the city decides to install the fence after the site remediation work is completed. So therefore, the total cost for the project is approximately $360,000. The staff conducted a review of the proposal and performed reference checks. Staff determined that the contractor meets the qualifications and requirements as stated in the contract documents. Pacific States has satisfactorily completed numerous demolition projects for public agencies in the area, including cities of Emeryville and Richmond, as well as University of San Francisco and Salinas Union High School District. mentioned earlier, the contractor will be removing salvage items marked and transferred to the city's possession, and one of them is the large wooden sculpture. The city staff is currently coordinating with the restoration company to arrange for treatment of the wooden sculpture for stabilization. Prior to demolition, staff will also send notification to the residents within the neighborhood to inform them about the work and conduct a community meeting. And the staff is currently anticipating the project will be completed by the end of October. And as for the fiscal impact, the 2015-16 capital improvement program includes an appropriation of $300,000 for the project. The project has a current balance of $270,000 remaining, and based on the proposal amount of $360,000 and a 20% contingency that's being proposed, staff is requesting an additional appropriation of $165,000 from the project. If there's any funds remaining in the completion of the initial phase, the funds will be reallocated to the subsequent development of the site for the future park use. This concludes my presentation.
If I could just add one quick item, and then we have a member of the public that would like to talk about this item. The proposal cost of $340,000 includes, as a significant component of the bid, the remediation of the site by removal of approximately 500 cubic yards of contaminated soil at a cost of approximately, I can't do the math here quickly, but approximately $170,000 of the $340,000, or roughly half, is related to that component of the project. Knocking down the buildings, grading the site is roughly half. So what lead paint contamination, which sounds like a relatively simple issue, turns out to be a fairly expensive component of the work.
Any questions for staff at this time?
If I could, on that issue, so that is a verified amount, and that is pretty much set based on professional costs and things, transport. Because I mean, you say 500 cubic yards. To me, knowing grading, 500 cubic yards is minimal. It's not a lot. I mean, and if they get some you get even some light equipment out there, 500 cubic yards of removal is not a big deal. But what I'd like to know is that $170,000 is the going rate for contaminated soil removal and dumping wherever it has to go, because it doesn't go any, it goes specific places. If you can answer that.
So as part of the bid, the soil contamination is broken down by different classifications, Class 1 and Class 2. And with that, under the soil management plan, the contractor is required to excavate the soil and have the soil on site, and they have to test the soil as well one more time before they dispose it. So during the testing of the soil, we can determine that maybe the soil, some portion of it could be a lot less contaminated than others, and then that will be determined upon the actual testing phase of the soil removal process.
And they could possibly have to take more than 500 cubic yards based on the testing?
It's possible.
Okay. All right. That's understood. Thank you.
Anything else for staff? Someone in the public had a question? Could you come to the podium, please? Yeah. Just tell us your name and your street.
My name is Tim O'Brien. I live at 293 Florida, which is across the street from this structure. And me and my wife are concerned about the lead. Are we in danger? That's our real concern. And also the graffiti and this how it looks. Is there something we can do in the meantime to keep people out? Keep just people dumping stuff there? Is there some way we can enclose it for now and make it a safe and delightful place until it's removed and converted into a park?
Okay. Do we have any plans to fence it off in any way, shape, or form before demolition begins, and how long will it take to actually, get a contract up? Wait a minute, let's, one thing at a time.
So within the contract, the temporary fencing around the property would have to be provided by the contractor. And after the demolition is completed and the site regraded and all the contaminants are removed, the site will be fenced with chain link fencing.
Okay, and then during the removal of anything that's contaminated with lead, they will actually most likely encase that structure so that none of it just gets blown out into
Correct.
the neighborhood? Okay.
Thank you so much. That was my question.
Yeah.
One of my questions. Secondly,
Move that mic right
pardon.
down.
Reina,
There you go.
Reina Burgos, and my husband Tim O'Brien, and we reside at 293 Florida. And yes, due to our concern that a lot of people hang out in that area, and that's why we're requesting if can be fenced in, because we had to basically install a security system in our home because the graffiti is out of control and it doesn't get removed as quickly as we would like it. And we are constantly calling San Bruno Police to come and patrol the area. So we were requesting whether if it's an option to fence it in while a decision is going to be made. It'll be good so we don't have to police, basically, the residents on 293 doesn't have to be policing and ensure that the place is not vandalized.
Assuming that the resolution gets adopted this evening, how long will it take to actually get things rolling?
I would say there's contract agreement, phase with this. So once we get this project awarded, I'd expect at least maybe 3-4 weeks before the contracts to go back and forth. If everything is executed, then we'll have a notice to proceed. We'll have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, and the notice to proceed will be provided. So I'm thinking about maybe 4 to 5 weeks is what I'm anticipating before any mobilization.
We probably wouldn't anticipate putting up a fence before the demolition, simply because you'd have to take it down during demolition, I would guess.
Correct.
But go ahead, Rico.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I think what the Bryans are asking, and I don't want to speak for you, you did fine, is between that time, whether it's 4 weeks, whether the resolution doesn't pass, can the city do anything, since we own the property, to help mitigate what they're experiencing? The graffiti they have to look at, and the concern, I don't think the field so much, but of course the housing complex around it. Is there anything that we can do in order to help alleviate the concern? I'm sure not to just of you, but others in the neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely.
That's my question.
So we will certainly talk to the police department and see if we can increase patrols and deal with the people hanging out. Similarly with the graffiti, our standard is to remove graffiti within 24 hours on public property. If we're not meeting that standard, then we'll see that our graffiti contractor is alerted that this needs to attain a higher priority attention.
Okay.
I have another concern as
Sure.
well. The health hazard. I mean, you guys are talking about there's lead and there's maybe other stuff, contaminants in that property. So are we in the community in any danger with that?
I'm not a
Has that
lead
been-
expert or anything, but I would think, we're not going to disturb anything until demolition begins, and
Well,
they'll
I
most
know-
likely tent all of that when that starts. So,
You don't necessarily have to tent it to not disturb it, but it could be a health hazard now. Do we have any experts that have looked at that?
I wouldn't think unless it's friable or actually blowing around, it would have an issue. But Jimmy, do you have any comment on that?
I don't. I'm not an
Right.
expert as well.
Are they going to send an expert out there if there's any chance there's any contaminants floating around or blowing around? I mean, it's a real windy area too. There's a lot of wind, and it blows towards our way, to our houses. So that's a concern of mine, a real big concern.
We can look into that, but...
I would appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anything else for staff? Ken?
Yeah, well, I mean, you had an environmental consultant. I would hope that they'd be able to address their concerns and possibly give us an idea on how to explain the effects on the neighborhood. I would just like to know, if this resolution passes and demolition occurs, what will be the view of the site? I mean, pretty much one big field?
Correct.
I mean, I understand there's trees and things too, but
There are a couple of trees that will remain, but this whole site will be graded.
so there won't be any more concern about graffiti or, transients, in the area, and, it'd just be a matter of, what we do, in the future, and then having a chain link fence around it. Okay.
Good. And just to the O'Briens, we've worked very hard on this. I know it seems like it's gone very slow, but we had a lot of negotiations with the original property owner and purchasing the property, and went through an awful lot of things. So the city owns it now. You need something like a nice park over in that area there. There's nothing there, so, it takes time, but I think in the end, you'll be very pleased. So, worked very hard on it. This is a resolution. Irene?
Through the chair, I just want to alert people, and maybe Carrie can help, that we are going to have a couple of meetings with, and invite the neighborhood to participate in what do they want to see at that area, and kind of have a site map, so you'll get an idea of how big it is. And Carrie, do you want to add to that?
Thank you very much. I'd be pleased to. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien, we will be sending letters out probably next week at the latest to all the residents between, let's see if I get this right, Angus to the north, San Felipe to the south, Huntington to the east, and El Camino to the west. Yeah, I got it. Inviting everyone to a planning meeting on Wednesday, June 22nd. We're still working out the details of the location, but we will be sending everyone an invitation with the details, and we hope to see you all then.
Great. Thank you.
Through the chair, the only thing I was going to say is my two concerns is one, we don't have a definitive plan for the art,
Right, carving.
the independence of Switzerland that's inside, A. And two, it is the cost, and I wanted to be clear on a couple things. A, Mr. Tan, it's no reflection upon all the work and the effort that you have put in, because I know it hasn't been easy, and I think you've been trying to do even things differently to try to get more bids, or to try to drum up business, shall we say, in a way. I still think only having one bid for this cost, I'd like to see us go back out to bid personally. And secondly, I want to make it clear, it's no reflection of my colleague Irene and I who are working together on this. I'm looking forward to that, and I enjoyed our first meeting.
Okay.
I just want to,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I just wanted to respond to Rico and to Jimmy and the whole staff. I don't know if we would get different results going out to bid, and then it would delay it again. And we've already delayed it. We haven't delayed it. It has been delayed. And I know Jimmy has worked very, very hard to get responses from people and to, as you said, drum up business. So I don't want to delay us anymore. And that's my personal opinion.
And the Vice Mayor, you have a comment?
Yes, I need to recuse myself because I live within 500 feet of the location, so
Okay.
I gotta leave.
Okay. You'll be back in a second. Okay, any action or further discussion or action?
If I could just add.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to thank the O'Briens for coming, because it makes a difference when the neighborhood speaks. And I would actually like, to inform the neighborhood of what actions are going to happen, not just the park is going to be designed, it's just that there's going to be some demolition and maybe some disruption and some concerns of health and issues and contamination. And for that reason is the reason why I wouldn't want to wait. I mean, as much as it's a tough time to go through a bid process, and especially on a unique type of project like this, yeah, maybe you can get more bidders, but possibly not, and so we just lose time. And now, now that the neighborhood is awaiting it and wanting something to be improved, I think we need to get it done now.
Okay, great.
With that, I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina.
No.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Okay, great.